Good evening, everybody. September 20th, 2021. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here. We had a really nice capitulation wick down right after the daily open. The volume on this was pretty significant. Didn't quite match the volume on this leg down, of course. That was extremely violent move there, but certainly enough volume to call it potential that we've already struck bottom here. And we've obviously gone into the bounce zone, support zone that I've been looking for to call this a completed A, B, and C down. So we may have already bottomed. That, like I said, is very possible, and I'll go through what we need to see in order to confirm that, and go through a couple other things to see what the likelihood is that we have. So this is in my more bullish scenario. Basically, we've now held wave 2. So if I zoom back here, this move off of the 28.8 low all the way up to 53K is our first wave up, and I can certainly make a decent argument that we have 5 waves within that to make a wave 1 there. We were then looking for this ABC down, and all throughout this period it was a little unclear what it was doing, but as you know, as we got this move up off the lows, I was really quite worried about it since it failed to complete the 5 waves and kind of truncated that 5th wave pretty significantly. So obviously we stopped out at about 46K, and that has proven to be quite a good move on our part there. So that being said, you know, that gave us some more information that this was certainly at least this ABC, which would lead us into this green zone right here, anywhere between 37.5 and 43K, which is what I posted last night and this morning. So now that we've spiked down into that zone, 39.5 really is kind of the ideal place that this would have bottomed out. Basically, that would be this first A wave. It would make C, when it goes to the 1.0 extension, C equals A, basically. So you see that quite often. But it can realistically go anywhere in this box between the 618 and the 1236 is a pretty typical C wave. So the next thing we need to know about C waves is that they are typically 5 waves down. So if I go down, you can see it on the hourly, but it's a little easier to see on the 15-minute. And I'll just do a little tutorial here quickly on fib extensions and how sometimes they don't really work out in super violent moves like this. So I would say, you know, this is probably our first wave here and second wave here, and you can see that typically based on this fib extension we would have seen something along these lines, where that's 3, 4, and then 5 really should have ended right about here. Obviously that did not happen, and it's, you know, I didn't suggest buying in that range because I didn't really see an end to this move. But what we can get, and often do get, is an extended third wave. And so when that happens, right, here's our 1, 2, I'm going to say this is our extended third wave right now. And it didn't really help us during the time because it was unclear, but going back now, we can kind of use this and say, you know what, this looks like a pretty good completed 5-wave move here, which is all C really needs to do in order to complete. It needs to do 5 waves. And then we can double check this by drawing a fib backwards from 3 up to 2, like so. And this region between the 618 and the 764 is where 4 should top out, which we saw it do right there. And then the region between 1236 and 1382 is typically where 5 should bottom. And we spiked down a little bit further than that, but basically we did bottom in that area between 40,600 and 41,300. So all of that being said, I am very much leaning towards the bottom already being in at this point in time. And then what we need to see is a 5-wave move up off of the lows here, and then once we see that, we can then buy in on the next pullback. So again, down on this 15-minute chart, it's possible that we have our little micro 1 and 2 right here. And so let's just go ahead and use that for now. It may change as, if this kind of drops down below that level, then I'll have to adjust that and say that was our 1 and, our 2's down here, something like that. So I'm not using this to trade off of right now, but this is just something I'm going to keep monitoring to see when we actually have a completed 5-wave move up that follows the fibs, how they should be followed. So what we should see in this case, if this is correct, is 1, 2, 3 should come up here somewhere between 44.2 and 44.7. We should then get a pullback down to about 43K, and then a final move up to like 45 to 45.5, somewhere in that region. So if we can get this and it follows that path pretty closely, where we're actually getting each of these moves and they're nice and clear for us, then I will be looking for, once we top in this move, we should then get a pullback back down, and we'll pull a fib extension at that point from the low here up to the high that it reaches, in order to determine where we should be buying. But I'm going to go ahead and anticipate that right here where all of this action happened is probably going to be an ideal place to buy back in, only once these have completed though. So I'm going to keep that on the chart and we'll keep an eye on that. It is, like I said, it is certainly possible that we get a deeper pullback overnight, but really as long as we hold this low and don't go below it, we have a decent chance that we can make a 5-wave move up off of the lows here. So like I said, not doing anything with that information right now, but being that I stopped out at around 46, and this is 45.5 is below 46 where I stopped out, and I should get a chance after that to buy down even deeper. I'm not really too worried about just sitting and waiting and letting the market prove itself to me before I go in deeper. Last thing I want to do is jump in right now and then have it make a new low as an extension of this 5th wave, which is certainly possible. The 3rd was extremely extended, so the 5th could very well be extended as well. And really this is not looking like a complete 5-wave down, so we certainly could see 1, 2, 3, 4, like doing some sort of diagonal down basically, because 4 is now overlapped with 1, but we still could see a double dip or push down a little bit further into this 39.5 region. So all that being said, I think either bottom is in or bottom is very close. Let's let a 5-wave move off of the lows dictate our next move, and we'll be smart and patient and go from there. But in the meantime, I'm pretty happy with sitting in cash and pretty happy with the opportunity to buy in lower here, because our next move after this really should take us up, pretty much near 80K. So once bottom is confirmed, then I can draw a fib and get those targets a little bit more exactly, but that's pretty much what I'm expecting at this point. So all of that being said, however, we do want to keep in mind this is the bearish version of the chart right here. I'm zoomed out on the daily here, where here is an A, here's our B, and we are just now beginning the much larger C wave down, potentially to 23 or 19 even. So it kind of depends on how we progress from here. If we get a 5-wave move up off the lows, then this is going to be much less likely. If this daily candle closes like that or even higher tomorrow night, then this becomes much less likely. That's a nice bullish reversal candle there at the moment. But alternatively, if it proceeds downwards, if it continues crashing down and we get down here to 35, then I'm going to be looking for this bounce to sell and short and look for a much lower low from there. So those are kind of our parameters to keep an eye on, and we'll go from there and just let price action dictate, like I said, dictate the next move. So all right, that's it for tonight. Good night, everybody, and hope you are safely in cash.